All right, family. We live with the general. You already know what it is. Fire, fire, fire commentary, analysis, world politics, breaking news, what's going on in current events, what's going on in the world, Black history, heritage, culture. We got it here for your family. Before we get started, make sure you get over there to Patreon with the general. Click the link. It's right there in the top of the chat. Get over there, over 600 exclusive videos, fire, and just dropped 6 new ones this week. And I want you over there so you can get it, family. China urges Iran to drink from the poison chalice. Drink from the poison chalice, man. Come on up off the uranium, man. Come on up off the uranium. Quit bombing. I mean, goddamn. What you can't live with that, Iran. They didn't damage Iran, man. And I want people to understand that they have damaged Iran. Anybody that think Iran, see, people is, over in Iran, they call the United States the great Satan. And I can understand why. I'm not, we know what they done did to our people over here. We know. But this is, we have to understand that some fights is, we can't, we got to roll sometime. We don't have to necessarily roll with the policy per se, but the fact that, the homeland is under threat, could be attacked, that's just something we got to come in unison about, not necessarily the politics or policy per se, but the fact that the mainland is under attack where our families lay their head, and we got to be for the homeland at that point. And it's home because our ancestors bled for it. You see, our part of it, not nobody, our part of it. That's what we're talking about. But anyway, China urges Iran to drink from the poison chalice. And so China know it at a point. China know a lot of, they hurting, and they know, all the countries that support China is hurting. So a lot of China is also speaking for its customers, its consumers that buy shit from them. Them that didn't drop because they ain't got money. They economies is under strain. So what's going on in Iran has gotten the world in under strain. And that just show you right there that, motherfucker, you trying to gut the world. You ain't really, it ain't just that you got a beef with the United States. You trying to gut the world, and a lot of people's is seeing that, and you got to see that. It's one thing you get into it with the United States. Okay, you get into it with the United States. We can understand whatever you do to hurt the United States, that's a war, but when you squeezing everybody, you know what I'm saying? Unless you doing something business with them, you can't do no business with nobody else. You didn't cut the rest of the Gulf states off, and so, countries and they've been dealing with them. You didn't have no problem before the fight jumped off. The strait was open. Everybody was going to whoever they wanted to go to in the Gulf. You see what I'm saying? India was getting oil from, they probably was getting oil from everybody over there. Everybody was getting some oil, and making some deals over there. And so countries was probably stopping in 1 or 2 or 3 different countries over there getting some good deals. We'll cut you a deal. How much they say? Okay, we'll cut you a good deal. Come on over and get some. We'll cut it for you. So they probably over there working deals and getting some of that oil up out of there. And then after the war popped off, then now it becomes a problem because they see the Arab states as being beholding of the United States, beholding or the European. And so in order to shut the United States down, you had to shut the Arab nations down. Even though the Arabs are selling to really, they ain't even fucking selling to the United States because the United States only getting like 1 to 2% of oil out of it. They got their own oil. That shit ain't nothing. It ain't hurting the United States. So what they doing is they hurting the rest of the world. And that's why Donald Trump said, y'all need to get y'all ass up and come over here. Once you start seeing it and hear it, you know it's proper. You know what I'm saying? Once you understand, and that's what's wrong with niggas, because they don't understand the whole thing. That's why I just showed y'all the Straits of Malacca, tying it into the Panama Canal. They is, putting a presence on all these choke points on the planet. So, but niggas is zoomed in. All they see is Iran. I say, let me take them over here. Let me take you over here. Let me tie this shit in so you can see what's really going on. They not losing shit. Nigga, they putting a presence wherever they need to be. Now, at the same time, everybody hurting. United States ain't really hurting that bad. I went out there and yeah, it was but it's still coming down a little bit. I went out there, gas was about 319. It was up to 350 a week ago. It was up to 350. You know what I'm saying? Then I seen it went down like 40 cent before the fight, before the conflict. I seen gas for like shit 290, you know, 290. Shit was going down. You see what I'm saying? You like, God damn, man. It was less than that. It was less than that. So the gas was going down. So, but a lot of countries over there is fucked up. Countries ain't even had shit to do with it. If they teetering and your economy is teetering and all the gas is coming from up and you ain't getting no gas, man, you in trouble. If you ain't one of them powerhouse nations that got a lot of reserve, and that's where the United States gonna come in because they're gonna be selling. That's where Russia, Russia making a whole lot of money. They wasn't making no money before the conflict. But in order for it to be a balance, Donald Trump had to take the fucking sanctions off of Russia. Now that just show and now this motherfucker Vladimir Putin is getting more money, and so now he got more money to put in his war machine over there in Ukraine. You see, he got more money to put in his war machine over there in Ukraine. So it's gonna be very beneficial to hurry up and get the shit. But knowing Donald Trump and Vladimir Putin, them motherfucker might be in on this shit. Ain't no telling. You see what I'm saying? They buddies and shit. So he got some Trump got some Venezuelan oil, and motherfucking Vladimir got he got a whole lot. So they gonna go ahead, and Vladimir ain't saying shit. Do you know that? And I believe that's why like Iran feel like betrayed by Russia and China, because they ain't did shit for them. They gave them a little something, but you think Russia and they didn't selling all that oil now? They didn't took the sanctions off of them where they could sell oil now. You think Vladimir give a fuck about what's going on? Yeah, he'll say some shit. But I know them dollars, they over there like, whoo, you know how motherfuckers get that cheese. That motherfuckers over there, woo. They over there, you know what I'm saying? They throwing all kind of dollars in the air. They don't give a damn. You know what I'm saying? They got gas and oil, so they don't give a fuck. They shit tight. And now they done got a little boost because they open up the markets so Russia can they can kind of balance off in case motherfuckers do need it. And they probably still cutting motherfuckers deals. Now they probably still cutting them up. There's still some sanctions on their ass. So you probably still can get some cheap oil from Russia. And you can come on over here, Donald Trump then bum rushed Venezuela. So he got probably he probably got a 500 million barrels a damn oil up out of Venezuela, and I know he cashing out right now. Man, you know that man that made man. Listen here, Donald Trump that made some billions. He done made some billions. Believe it or not, he done made some billions. You know, I know all that money that all that oil. Who own it? Is it the United States? Well, it got to be United States. You sent the army down there, and so that money supposed to be coming to the United States. But how do we know where the oil going? You know, them motherfuckers. Donald Trump probably done sold oil and shit right out there on the motherfucking on the ocean. You know, they be pulling them damn tankers right out, they call them shadow fleets. You know, these motherfuckers, they know how to do that shit. You know, these shadow fleets and shit, where they take these ships, they keep changing the names and shit. You know, they'll register them as a Chinese vessel, a Russian vessel, but it be a Iranian vessel, and they'll go out there in the middle of the motherfucking oil, the ocean, and exchange oil right out there, tanker to tanker and shit. So they got a lot of weird shit going on in this world that we don't even know about. You know, we so out of the loop on what the fuck going on, who making the money, how the money being made. Niggas is liquor store economy, you know, and it's sad. It's sad, but I try to show you these things and to give you a view of what the world, how they doing this shit. And how we need resources, we need tankers, we need this is how Marcus Garvey saw our people, how Malcolm X saw our people, how Khalid Muhammad saw our people, man, having power like that, resources. We need land, we need to be importing and exporting and shit, building our nation, more exporting than importing. But you know what I'm saying? But having some major resources that we export, whatever it is, the other countries getting that global dollar, international dollar. Too many of these niggas over here so localized. You listen to all these philosophies that's out. These some localized niggas. You know what I'm saying? They ain't ready to get that international dollar because they too localized. They restrict themselves. And we for the land now. We for the land, but we also for our people all around the planet. We want to build with our people all around the planet that want to build and have the same understanding. So wherever you're at in the world, the general is talking to you. If you're black, God damn it, we on this. We want to be on the same. We want to be on the same team because we're gonna get more being on the same team than we're gonna be going against one another. And being that we are global people, then we got a lot of information we could share with each other, man. Bringing that knowledge of different areas on the globe together in a global package, that global African supremacy, man. We can pull off some shit on this planet. We got to get our minds right, though. And we got to get an understanding of our value and what do we have of value that we can now bring on the global scale, on the global market, and sell with our brothers and help us, kind of get a union, a global African union together where we can help each other sell some of these resources. And this shit could be real quick. You feel what I'm saying? This shit can get real quick. But anyway, family, keep that on your mind and build on some globalism, because that's where it's at. You feel what I'm saying? See you in a minute, family. Get over to Patreon, and I'll see you a little later on today. Black Power.